Guys, we're back with 6.4 notes. Today we're going to be talking about multiplying binomials and trinomials. So basically we're going to take two terms in one parenthesis and multiply it by 1, 2, or 3 terms in a second parenthesis. Okay? The way I like to set these up is kind of like a Punnett square if you've already talked about that in biology. We're going to set up a 2 by 2 square, or if there's more, it might be a 2 by 6 square, and use that as our strategy to multiply the pieces together. So if you would, pause the screen, go ahead and write what you see, and then we'll get started. Perfect. So if you notice on problem number 1, here's what I'm doing. I'm taking the binomial that's first, and I'm writing it on the left. I'm taking one term and using that for the first box. I'm taking another term, the positive 2, putting it on the second box. For the second binomial, or the second parenthesis, I'm putting the first term on the first box, the second term with its sign plus on the second box. This is going to allow me to separate each term and remember to multiply it together, okay? The directions are in that blue little cloud right now. We are going to multiply each term. What that means is we're multiplying the big base numbers, that's the 2 and the 6, and we're adding up the exponents for the variables that are the same. So, for instance, in this first box, we're going to be multiplying 2 times 6, that makes it 12, adding up our exponents. So we have an n here and an n here, that makes n squared. We're done with that box, okay? When it comes time for the second box, we're multiplying the plus 1 times a 2n. Well, 1 times 2n is just 2n. When it comes time for the bottom box, we're taking our 6n times our 2. Well, 2 times 6n would make 12n. We're multiplying the numbers, adding up our total exponents. There was only one n there. And for the last box, we're multiplying the last ones we have left over. So 1 times 2 is a positive 2. Now, I didn't put any signs in here, but I do want to remind you that all of these are positive, okay? So the last and final step is for us to go ahead and write down each of our terms in order from highest degree to lowest. Here's how that's going to look. The first box is always going to go first, 12n squared. But when it comes to the second term, we're going to have to do some combining. Notice that 12n and 2n are like terms. So positive 12 plus 2 is going to make 14 n's. Your n's do not change to a squared. They stay regular. You are not changing any exponents at this point. The last term comes out of the last box. So my plus 2 is going to go on the end. Once you get the combined like terms going, you are done with that problem. Okay? I'm going to go a little bit quicker through problem number 2. We're going to multiply x times the 3x. That makes 3x squared. I'm going to multiply the x times the negative 2. That's negative 2x. Negative 3 times 3x is a negative 9x. And negative 3 times negative 2, that's this box right here, 2 negatives make a positive, so positive 6. We're going to write down our terms in order. So the highest degree is the x squared, so 3x squared. For our x's, there are going to be 2 of them, a negative 9 and a negative 2 combined to make negative 11x. And our plus 6 goes on the end. That's the end, okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and set up problems 3 and 4. First parenthesis is 4n plus 1. And 2n plus 6 for our second parenthesis. Notice that each term gets its own box. Problem 4, we're going to do 8p minus 2, and on top 6p plus 2. Let's go ahead and multiply those together. I'm doing problem 3 first. 4n times 2n is going to make 8n squared. You'll notice that the first box is almost always going to have a squared on it. Second box, 4n times 6 is a 24n. It's positive. 2n times 1 is a 2n. And down there at the bottom, we're going to do 1 times 6 makes 6. Our highest degree is the first box, 8n squared. In the middle, we're going to have 2 separate terms with an n, so we're going to combine them. 2 plus 24 is 26n's. And our positive 6 is going to go at the end. Problem number 4, 8p and the 6p are going to multiply to make 48p to the second power, or p squared. The 8p comes over, multiplies with the 2 to make 16p. That negative 2 times the 6 is going to make negative 12p. And a negative 2 and a positive 2, I want you to make a little bitty note here. It is not 0 right here. We are multiplying. So negative 2 times a positive 2 is a negative 4. Make sure you remember that we're multiplying. Okay? Highest degree comes first, 48p squared. The p's on the diagonals, they're going to go ahead and combine. 16 and a minus 12 makes a positive 4. So 4p. Our smallest degree is the 4, so minus 4 at the end. Okay? If you missed anything in this top section, go ahead and pause it, write it down, and we're going to move on to 5 and 6. All right, on problems 5 and 6, we're talking about a difference of squares. Difference means the signs are different. Squares means that they are going to be squaring themselves, so as in they're the same values. Same binomial, so the exact same numbers, same terms, except one has a plus sign and one has a minus sign. Let's go ahead and set these up, okay? I have an x minus 5 on my first boxes and an x plus 5 on my second boxes. For number 6, I have a 3x and a minus 1 and a 3x with a plus 1. Let's go ahead and multiply those together, okay? In problem 5, this is the only one that gets a little tricky. An x times an x, there's no numbers in front. So I'm going to keep it that way. X times x is an x squared. X times a positive 5 would be a positive 5x. X times a negative 5 on the bottom would be negative 5x. You might notice already that something's going to happen. Okay? For our last box, remember it's not 0. Negative 5 times a positive 5 is a negative 25. So again, I start with my highest degree, that's the x squared. I'm going to combine my like terms, but 5x and a negative 5x cancel. Will you draw a line through those? They're not there anymore. We don't write anything down for x. All we write down is the minus 25. Difference means we are subtracting. Difference of squares means that we are subtracting perfect squares. Basically x squared and 5 squared. Okay. All right, let's talk about number 6. 3x times 3x is going to be 9x squared. 3x times 1 is a positive 3x. 3x times negative 1 is a negative 3x. Negative 1 times positive 1, it's not 0. Remember, we're multiplying, so negative 1. Our highest degree goes first, 9x squared in our answer. When we combine these, we notice they're the same, but they're opposite signs, so they cancel out. And I bring down my negative 1 as my last term. Okay? If you missed anything on 5 and 6, go ahead and copy it now. I'll meet you on the next page. All right. For problems number 7 and 8, we're talking about perfect squares. They're going to have this little exponent on the outside. This is not when you distribute it. Let me make that note. Don't distribute. We're not going to distribute. Anything squared means that it's times itself. So when we write this out, what I'm really doing is taking 4p minus 1 times itself again, 4p minus 1. So basically what we're going to do is write that term on both sides. Let me go ahead and set that up. I'm going to put 4p minus 1 on the side and 4p minus 1 on the top. Just like that, on problem 8, I'm going to do the same thing. 2x plus 5 on the left, 2x plus 5 on the top. The pieces are the exact same, okay? All right, let's go ahead and multiply these together. 4p times 4p is a 16, not 8, 16p squared. 4p times negative 1 is negative 4p. Actually, it's the same on the bottom, right? 4p times negative 1, negative 4p. Negative 1 and negative 1, two negatives make a positive 1. Now, when we look right here, people might mistakenly think that those are going to cancel, but they don't. They are both negative, so they're going to make a bigger negative number. -4 minus 4 is a -8, so -8p. Plus 1 is going to finish up our final answer. Okay? Let's go on to 8. 2x and 2x makes a 4x squared. 2x times 5 is 10x. We have another 10x. And 5 times 5 is 25. Make sure you're not using a 10. All of these numbers are positive, and those 10s are going to need to combine. They don't cancel, they combine. So 4x squared, 10 plus 10 is 20x, and the 25 is going to come down. Okay? If you missed anything on 7 and 8, go ahead and copy that now. I'll meet you on 9 and 10. Okay. Problems 9 and 10 is a binomial times a trinomial, which is 3. So we're going to make the boxes 2 on the left and 3 on the top. So I did my labels on that first problem. Let's do it on the second one also. I'm going to put the 4a and the plus 2 on the left side, the 6a squared, the minus 1a, and the plus 2 on top. Let's go ahead and multiply these out. Okay? 7k times 1k squared. Remember, we have to add the exponents. 7 times 1 is 7. I have 1k, and 2 more k's makes k to the third. I'm going to move across the top. 7 times -2 is -14. K to the first and k to the first makes k squared. 7 and 7 makes 49, and I keep just 1k. You might want to rewind, listen to that again if you're a little confused. Otherwise, we're going back to the bottom. -3 times a 1k squared is -3k squared. -3 times -2 is a positive 6. Bring down my k. -3 and 7 is a -21. Now, on this set, when I combine, I'm going to have to go twice. I'm going to combine the k squareds, and I'm going to combine the k's. So, highest degree goes first, 7k to the third. For k squareds, I have -17 because -3 and -14 makes -17k squared. 49 and 6 combine to make 55k's. Again, don't change the exponent. And that -21 goes on the end. Okay? If you need to go back through that problem one more time, you're welcome to. We're going to go on to number 10. All right, I'm multiplying. 4 and 6 makes 24. I have a to the third power for that box. 4a and -1a makes -4a squared. 4a and 2 makes 8a. I'm going to go ahead and put a plus there so I remember he's positive. Second row, I'm going to have 2 times 6a is 12a squared. Sorry, I said that wrong. 2 times 6a squared is 12a squared. 2 times -1a is a -2a. And 2 times 2 makes a positive 4. All right, again, we're going to combine the a's. We're going to combine the a squareds. Highest degree goes first. 24, a to the third. 12 minus 4 makes 8a squareds. 8 minus 2 makes 6a's. And the plus 4 goes on the end. Okay? Feel free to pause that, copy anything you need. Your assignment is going to be 6.4 practice. If you have any questions, I'm available before and after school. Have a good afternoon.